Welcome back. So I told you guys we would be doing 2 videos today. I posted chapter 2 earlier today, and now I'm doing chapter 3. I know, super exciting. You guys are getting a double video. So we are in chapter 3 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. We are annotating for the sole purpose of showing that you cannot separate the art from the artist. Okay, you guys can go through all of my other videos. I say that every single time. I talk about the bigotry. I talk about how harmful J.K. Rowling is specifically towards the trans community with her money, right? That being said, there are other forms of bigotry within her books. Okay? And I'm going to try to explain this the best way I possibly can. Okay, there are plenty of books that have bigotry in the sense that it is the main part of the plot, as in you have your main character is combating it, or they're experiencing it, or maybe they're spewing it and then, they come to realize, right? We're not talking about that type of book, right? We're not talking about an author who has experienced bigotry in these senses, who is using this to educate. We're talking about an author who is writing a book and doesn't recognize that her bigotry is now on the paper. And this is where problematic authors come into play, right? There's a huge list for a variety of reasons. Now, I will say that last week, before we get into the actual chapter, let me just say this. Last week was BookCon. I did not go, just saying. Okay, hear me out. I did see the controversy with this fan having an interaction with Tracy Dion. I saw the original video. I've seen everyone's response to it and the comments. And then I saw her more recent video from the fan explaining kind of her feelings and situation. I would never put Tracy Dion on the problematic author list for that interaction. Number one, I don't think Tracy Dion did anything wrong. Number two, you are in a BookCon, okay? You are in a huge convention center. This isn't quite a meet and greet. This is quick sign and go. Sure, you want to express your love of the books. Sure, you want your book plate so it's basically transparent. So she was saying that she's getting a special edition of the book. It should be arriving. That recently came out. Anyway, and then she could peel it off and put it in her book. Cool, fine, I get that. But I feel like from that initial interaction and when it came to the body language, I think she had an expectation that just wasn't feasible. Now, what she said in her second video in regard, she said, hey, I felt interrupted by Tracy because Tracy was asking a question. Did she want maybe a verbal acknowledgement about all of what she was saying? Sure. Is she owed one? Not necessarily. Again, Tracy Dion's body language was very open, understanding, was listening. This fan did say she felt like Tracy wasn't listening. You also have to remember, you are in a book convention. She's like, it is loud there. The person, her friend that was filming, you could barely hear to begin with. Fine, whatever. She said that she had a different reaction with another author who was a little bit more open to her. Now, these are 2 Black women. Let me just say. The woman, the fan was a Black woman, and Tracy Dion is a Black woman. And so she posted, the fan posted her original video, and was just expressing her disappointment. She wasn't saying she wasn't going to read Tracy. She just said, like, look, I just felt hurt by that, right? I was disappointed. She can feel however she feels. I'm just saying from an outsider view, I think she made it to be something it didn't have to be. Now, on the other side, she said she went to bed, and that's when everyone was popping off. Not everyone, but those that wanted to be bigoted in any sense of way, like racism, misogynoir, Islamophobic, was doing that not only towards Tracy Dion, but also towards her. This is a Black Muslim woman who wears a hijab. There is no excuse for racism, right? And this is why I'm talking about this in this video. Okay, I know this isn't exactly with J.K. Rowling, but we are talking about authors in the author space. You cannot separate the art from the artist. Readers, hey, I see you. A lot of you will not read books, like from Tracy Dion because she writes Black characters. And a lot of those that are spewing this, first of all, was never going to read those books. Two, uplift problematic authors like Sarah J. Maas, like Brandon Sanderson, like T.J. Klune, just to give a few examples. Okay. And I say uplift, I'm not saying you can't have them on your shelf. I'm not saying you can't talk about them like we're talking here. And I said in my last video, like, I have mixed feelings about doing the series because in one sense, it could be seen as uplifting JK because we're talking about her work. But in the same sense, I feel like it's really important to go chapter by chapter and show like, hey, there is discrimination. There is bigotry. Here it is. This is what we're talking about. Here are the problems. On the flip side, there might be some good things, right? And I show that. But, and I will get to those problematic authors, let me just say, but we're talking about people that completely ignore the harm that these authors have done within large communities. Brandon Sanderson, for example, has done a lot of harm to many communities, has apologized, and then continues to do harm. Sarah J. Maas, for example, used Breonna Taylor's death to to promote her book. Like, what? T.J. Klune harmed the indigenous community as well as the baby scoop adoptees. Again, just giving an example, right? We have J.K. Rowling with the trans community. So would I put Tracy Dion on the problematic author list based off this interaction? Abso-freaking-lutely not. Absolutely not. And for anyone to say like, oh, well, I'm not going to read her books because of this. First of all, you're not actually looking at the video. Second of all, you're finding any excuse to not support a Black woman. Number 3, the misogyny, the racism, and the Islamophobia, even towards the fan, is unacceptable. Unacceptable. I may not like the premise that she put out there, right, in regards to Tracy Dion. But from all the responses I've seen from my mutuals, not one of them has ever put her down because she's Black, because she's a woman, or because she's Islam, or she practices Muslim, or Islam. Not one of my mutuals has done that. Have they made similar points that I made? Yes. Have they also added in that, hey, it's possible Tracy had a bad day? Personally, I can't say she had a bad day, but it wasn't looking like that. People have also said it's possible she's neurodivergent. She was, overwhelmed, overstimulated. Any person could be in that situation. Abso-freaking-lutely. Again, I'm not using that as an excuse. But to put out a video, and then she said she later deleted the content, right? And it seemed like she did that a few days after. You left it up long enough for people to do harm. Right? We're not talking like, okay, you went to sleep and then, that was the only time that it happened, and then you turned the comments off or you deleted it. You left it up with comments on for several days, almost an entire week, before you stopped and made your second video. This is a parasocial relationship. for any author, for any reader, we can love our authors, right? There's plenty of authors that I absolutely love. I may be mutuals with them on different platforms, right? Maybe I've written emails. I've gone to book signings. I've gone to meet and greets. I have, talking like my entire life, right? You can tell them how much you love their work. It doesn't mean that they have to respond to you. And that goes for anyone in any industry. It really does. I'm not owed acknowledgement. Her head nod was acknowledgement enough. Now, if you want to be like, maybe that was ableist because, the fan was blind, for example, and I'm just giving an example. And so maybe the fan didn't physically see the head nod. Okay, but that's not the situation we are talking about. Tracy Deon's body language in that interaction was quite open. So let's stop trying to cancel authors. First of all, we should not cancel authors for anything. When I say that there is problematic authors, you can choose to support their work or not. That's different. But people are trying to make it so that she doesn't, that there's a bad reputation. And this is really harmful towards a Black woman specifically. Number 2, even with problematic authors like Sarah J. Maas, like Brandon Sanderson, like TJ Klune, while we can absolutely choose to support them or not, now look, I'm going to be side-eyeing those that are uplifting their work, just saying. Do I think that they should be banned, like banned books? Absolutely not. Do I think that books should be challenged? No. Could we make aware that, like, hey, like, this author is problematic for X, Y, and Z. This is in the books. You cannot separate the art from the arts. That's also another point that I wanted to make. The same people that are saying, oh, I'm not going to buy Tracy Deon's book because it's going to be horrible, blah, 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 are the same people that spew you should be separating the art from the artist. But yet they won't do it for a Black woman. Make it make sense. Okay, sorry. I got off track, but it goes with what I'm saying, right? Also, you should go read Tracy Deon's books. All right, so anyway, we are in chapter 3. Let's just get through the rest of this because we're talking about we are actually talking about a problematic author. And that her bigotry is in her books. And this chapter, like I said in chapter 2, this chapter also has it. So, number 1, Harry used magic. As we've seen in chapter 2, it was the end. It bled into chapter 3. He used magic to blow up Marge. He leaves. He accidentally, he didn't even know about the night bus, but he did magic again, and he got the night bus to come. I also want to note, he is 15 at this point, right? No, he's 13 at this point. 13, because his 11th birthday was in the 1st. So he's 13. He's scared. He's a scared child. Teenager, preteen, whatever. But he's still a child, right? But he feels that if he runs away, he is safer than staying with his kinship family, aka the Dursleys, because of their mistreatment. All he wants as a child is safety. He wants stability. He wants to feel accepted. None of which the Dursleys have given him. I already kind of mentioned the night bus, but before it got there, Harry started to feel like there's prickling on the back of his neck, and he said he felt like someone was watching him. We do end up knowing that it was Sirius Black in his dog form, but to note that, like, a lot of us have gotten that feeling. Now granted, I'm in the woods. Okay, I've gotten that feeling plenty of times. There's like weird noises, but he's like, trust your instincts. For safety reasons, trust your instincts, because he's like, I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't know what this is. Like, hopefully it's just like a cat, but I don't know. Like, something is off. Okay. Number 2, he decided to use Neville Longbottom's name instead of his own because of safety issues, right? Now, granted, you're using another child's name, so you're technically, if you're running, like he's running from the government at this point, the magical government. And by the way, here's my black dog. Hi, Bear Bear. He's just a sweet pea. He could potentially be putting Neville Longbottom's in danger. Hold on a second. Let me let him in. You want to go inside? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. But I also understand him not using his actual name for that safety reason. But this also comes into play throughout the series that if Harry Potter wasn't the chosen one in the prophecy, right, which we'll see in, I want to say it was book 6 or book 5. Anyway, it's later in the series. I can't remember exactly. Like, I remember the scene and I just can't remember what book it was. It would have been Neville Longbottom. Okay, so a little bit of the foreshadowing again, which is important as an author. You know, if you can pick it up, it's really important. Second of all, we have Ern. Ern is this... No, sorry. Ern is the bus driver. My bad. We have the talking head. And then we have Stan, who is the steward on the bus. Okay, Ern... Ern is discriminatory. Ern uses... He goes, them, right? Now, depending on the reference and the sentence and how you use the word them, it's not always a bad thing because you're using like multiple. But in this reference, he was talking about the muggles, right? Instead of using the muggles, he goes, oh, them, like looking down on them. It was very discriminatory. It's the I'm better than you, or, you know, I'm smarter than you kind of, like, it's just discriminatory, right? So, hey, bigotry right there. Second of all, while Harry's on the bus, we find out about Sirius Black. Okay, this is big. So they're talking about how he murdered 13 people. By the way, 13 is supposed to be an unlucky number. I don't remember exactly why, but I will, like, you know how there's like you're not supposed to have a black cat cross your path, or don't walk under a ladder. I mean, that just seems silly for safety reasons, but the whole black cat, you know, have a rabbit's tail or rabbit's foot. I just 13. Okay, I will just say in my family, 13 is a lucky number. 13, 15, and 18 are lucky numbers in my family. I know it sounds strange, but yes, 13 is a lucky number in my family. And I laugh because my parents, funny story, they got married on Friday the 13th. They've been married over 38 years now. I would say that Friday the 13th is lucky for us. And they're really cute because, like, every month they always say happy anniversary. They've been married 38 years, right? And every month on the 13th, like, it's clockwork. Happy anniversary. So cute. Now, people lied on Sirius Black So first of all, I don't think he actually murdered the 13 people. I believe we do find out later in the book, so I don't want to give... No, you know what? I'm going to give people... These books have been out for a while. The movies have been out for a while. Fuck it. So if I remember correctly, it wasn't Sirius Black who did the harm. It was, oh God, what's his name? Something, it's the friend that turns into Scabbers. Yes, Scabbers is really, and a human. And it was he who actually supported Voldemort, not Black. But let's also mention that Voldemort is supposed to be like the idea of Hitler or similar to. So you have his supporters who really want to do harm and get rid of anyone that supports Muggles. Again, we're talking about bigotry. We're talking about discrimination, right? And it was Black who... I don't think he used a forbidden curse, but he tried to get, again, Scabbers, right? But he had transformed and ran away. So people assumed that 13 people actually died, and they didn't. But again, it was the guy who is really Scabbers. Now, there was a cover-up, aka the government, the Ministry of Magic, covered it up for the Muggles, so they thought it was a gas explosion, and like, hey, there was... But again, like, they're blaming the wrong person, and we know that there are bad people within the Ministry of Magic who are going to blame the innocent people. So again, cover up. Now, in terms... So they did catch Sirius Black. They said, oh, he was just laughing, and like, Sirius Black kind of just knew that there was no way out of this, that they were always going to blame him. So he went to the he went to Azkaban, which is like this really bad prison, right? We also know that Hagrid went to this prison for 2 months, and it really messed with him. He was really scared when they were saying, like, oh, you're going to go to, again, they're throwing people into prison that are innocent. Some get out, like Hagrid. Some don't, but it's all based off evidence. There's no real court as of right now, yada, yada. All right. So anyway, as Harry left the bus at the Leaky Cauldron, he runs into Cornelius Fudge, who's the mayor. And this is where... So Fudge comes, like, they're having a talk. I don't know why I was, like, in the movie, I always thought this was in his office, and I don't remember it being at the Leaky Cauldron. But anyway, Cornelius Fudge kind of was like, hey, you're not really in trouble. Accidents happen. We fixed it. Just don't do it again. You're going to stay here for 2 weeks. I'm going to get you a room. Don't go into the Muggle side of London. Stay on Diagon Alley side. I mean, I'm not going to say, like, London isn't pretty. I've never been. I want to, but for safety reasons, there was that whole thing. He said Tom, who works at the Leaky Cauldron, is going to kind of keep an eye on you. But he also said, like, hey, we were able to compromise with your aunt and uncle. You will be returning at the end of the school year, the next school year, right? The only thing is you have to stay during the holidays. And Harry's like, that's new? Like, I always do. Like, I don't want to go there. Like, I don't ever want to return. And Fudge is basically like, well, it's your family. Like, who the fuck cares?
Okay, mother.
Hold on, I'm videoing. Give me 5 minutes. And that's problematic because Harry is telling someone, an adult who has power, hey, I don't feel safe here. Hey, these people literally abused me physically, mentally, emotionally. You know this, and you're sending me back there. Now, thankfully, Harry didn't get expelled for this situation, right? That was one of his biggest fears. Well, one of his biggest fears. His other fear was going to Azkaban because of doing forbidden magic, you know, because he's underage. But again, not listening to a child who is saying, hey, I am not safe in this home. I can verbalize that. You have evidence of it, and you're going to ignore that. We also know, if you've read the books prior or watched the movies, Cornelius Fudge is a horrible, horrible human being and politician. So doesn't really maybe it pretty much checks. But I will say, I hate when people try to force the relationship just because they're family, right? Whether that's aunt and uncle in this situation who are taking care of him, their guardians, or a parent, grandparents, right? Like, it should not be forced. You should not be forced to feel grateful or express that. Like, he's literally getting abused. Like, this isn't okay. But this is so common for people that ignore the issues within relationships, that ignore when the child, right? It's usually the child wants to go, aka no contact, right? There's this whole thing on TikTok, like, oh my gosh, it's just a trend. Or like, how come it's a trend, without actually listening to all of the harms, right? There's actual abuse, there's narcissism, there's control. And again, we are seeing this in this chapter. Harry basically expressing this in little words towards Cornelius Fudge, like, hey, you know why I blew up. Well, technically he didn't blow up, but you know why he did magic to blow Marge up in chapter 2. So yeah, anyway, that is the end of chapter 3, and talking about the issues. We'll come back for chapter 4 next Sunday. I hope you have a wonderful week. Tune in for Easter egg videos, and book reviews, because I'm going to be on it. All right, see you then.